tucking in underneath the first of 3 triplanes. An aeroplane whose design celebrates its 100th birthday this year, the Sopwith triplane, followed by the German equivalent, the Fokker DR1, the dry-decker, the Fokker triplane. And already one of the Fokker DR1s running round to left to right as the other aircraft now line up into a dogfight. One of the SE5s flying what they would call high cover over the airfield. We'll talk about the SE5s, the Farnborough designed aircraft, in just a moment. Meanwhile, running round for an opposition pass, we've got the Fokker DR1 running right to left, and the Sopwith triplane and the second Fokker triplane running in left to right.
Up to your waist in water, up to your eyes in slut, using the kind of language that makes us sergeant blood. Who would join the army? That's what we all inquire. Don't we pity the poor civilians sitting by the fire? Oh, 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 it's a lovely war. Who wouldn't be a soldier, eh? Oh, it's a shame to take the pay. As soon as our valley is gone, we feel just as heavy as lead, but we never get up to the sergeant brings our breakfast up to bed. Oh, 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 it's a lovely war. What do we want with eggs and ham? Where we go running out the camp. For right turn, as we spend the money we earn. Oh, 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 it's a lovely war.
Well, of course, very tongue-in-cheek, it is far from a lovely walk for the people on the ground. It wasn't much better for those in the air. Very short life expectancy of combat pilots, and the twitchy Sopwith and Fokker triplanes certainly played their part in that. Extremely manoeuvrable aircraft, and as you can see, the turning dogfight, as it became known, the circle of virtue or the circle of hell, depending on how you looked upon it. The reason for that was the aircraft's top speeds were all pretty much the same, so the only way you could manoeuvre to try and get the sight of your gun on the enemy was to try turning tighter and ever tighter. And for the British pilots it was even more difficult, because just as today the wind was blowing from west to east, and that proved to circle dogfight all the way back towards the German line. Now, in pursuit of the Sopwith triplane, we've got one of the 2 Junkers CL-1 replicas. The Junkers CL-1 was designed in 1918 as a trench strafing aircraft. It was one of the first aircraft to have armour plating, and it was also one of the first monoplane designs. These aircraft are actually all replicas, and the Junkers are actually known as Bosch babies. They're actually a Bowers Fly baby, a home-built aircraft from American designs. And it's actually a single-seater. One of the 2 occupants is actually a dummy. I'll leave you to decide whether it's going to be the one in the front or the one in the back. All these aircraft flown for fun by their pilots and owners. We actually have a total of 11 potential aircraft, but unfortunately 1 or 2 of the types here, because they're very authentic to the original First World War performance, couldn't meet the new CAA requirements for climbing to minimum altitudes at different ends of the display line. And you'll notice we're actually keeping well away from the houses of Farnborough town at one end of the display line, again to meet those requirements. And it was actually one of the challenges that we had, was to try and match all those aircraft up. As one of the Junkers making a final slow pass now with the smoke on, you can see the rear gunner in the back to cover the tail of the aircraft. The second Junkers crossing from left to right, leading the aircraft in display. Also an unusually marked SE5 now running right to left, and you'll see that it hasn't got the normal red, white and blue roundels on the aircraft. That's the reason for that one, is it was one of the first, carrying the markings, one of the first aircraft of the US Army Air Service to fly in combat, and it's carrying the red, blue and white roundels of the original US Armed Service. It's actually Blue 19 of the 25th Aero Squadron, and that aircraft is being flown by a former Lightning display pilot, Vic Lockwood, and former Empire Test Pilot School test pilot. He's hunting down at the moment Alex Smee, who normally flies for Cobham Industries, and is a local pilot from White Waltham, just about half an hour to the north of here. These aircraft are operating out of White Waltham because it's a big grass airfield, and their undercarriage has no brakes, and most of them have just a tail skid, not a tail wheel, so we can't actually use the asphalt of the Farnborough runway. The SE5A, as I mentioned earlier, was originally powered by a 150 horsepower Hispano-Suiza V8 engine, about 11 litres capacity. And the SE5 was designed here by Henry Folland, who amongst other things went on to design the Folland Nat jet. So he really did follow the whole of the story of military aviation. And you can see two SE5s now, each hunting down the Junkers CL1, which is weaving to potentially avoid the gunfire. And running in, turning away now from the centre line, you can see the American Mark SE5, slightly lighter in colour compared with the khaki of the Royal Flying Corps aircraft. The pilots here that are actually flying today make quite a mixture, combination of former airline pilots who literally just fly for fun, and one aircraft builder, Ernie Hoblin, who's flying one of the SE5s. Ernie has actually built two of the aircraft that are actually taking part in the display today. So a tremendous selection. The aircraft we haven't talked about very much so far, of course, are the Fokker triplanes. Copying the Sopwith design, which was designed, as I said earlier, 100 years ago in May, the two Fokker triplanes here, they used a slightly more advanced form of construction. Steel tube fuselages were used for the first time, and cantilever wings. Now, if you look at the Sopwith triplane as it runs through, you'll see it's got a whole load of bracing wires and struts holding the wings together. The Fokker DR1 had actually much more slender struts, and it also has no bracing wires. The wings are actually internally braced, which means less drag and a higher performance. One of the two DR1s, it's the one with a black band with a white snake on the fuselage. In fact, I think it's diving in now. No, it's the red snake that's diving in on the tail of the Sopwith triplane. That one is being flown by Peter Bond. He's normally a KLM.
But flight engineer has just turned the spray system on. And that system is pumping out that water now at approximately 900 litres a minute. The system can hold up to 15,000 litres of water. Average spray of 1,000 litres a minute. We're talking about 15 or 16 minutes straight line spray. Those aircraft are flying at 150 knots, 150 feet above the runway. And as it gets towards the end of the runway, there's a 7.2 will pull up, still spraying, and the blades will join up behind it, clear off to the south, while the 727 continues with its display.
Engaged with a Hellfire missile.
Hello, Zero. This is Gunship. Contact. Small arms fire. Wait out.
The Apache are now breaking into a wheel. This manoeuvre is operationally used to allow the optics and the 30mm cannon to be constantly positioned onto the target in the centre of the wheel and allows for rapid engagement if required.
Zero. Further enemy sighted. Engaging with 30mm.
Engaged but are now under attack from ground forces and now doing their fastest return to target they can. Return to targets are used operationally to turn the aircraft through 180 degrees so the aircraft can turn round and then honour the threat and engage where appropriate. The Apache are now using its powerful turbomecha engines to accelerate to up to 140 knots while they put down suppressive fire.
Zero. Our cannon has suppressed the position. Preparing to tip into rocket engagement.
Gunship are now going to use a modified return to target to adopt a diving profile to use their rockets to put a heavy weight of fire on the enemy. This profile allows the pilots to manipulate the effect the rockets have on the target.
Hello, Zero. There is a further enemy position engaging us. Taking evasive action.
Gunship is now pinpointed.
So, the red arrows, they're Hawk jets, is that right? Big Hawk? Hawk jets, yes they are. So, is there any particular reason why the red arrows are Hawk jets? And are Hawk jets used anywhere else in the RAF?
Yes, and yes. The Hawk is a very efficient aircraft, a very good training aircraft, and can also be used in some combat. But on the right, taking off, listen to this is the Spitfire. Hawk been around since 1976, been in the red arrows for a long time. It's very efficient, it's a very good aircraft. It's been used by the Royal Saudi Air Force, very well. Airborne in a very short period of time. Turn away from us, greatly inverted. That makes peace from British Aerospace up to Morton. Come back towards us. Fly past with a roll. This is the E3E capable aircraft. As you can see, fully kitted up, Typhoon providing the Air Force a highly capable, extremely agile, multi-role combat aircraft, capable of being deployed in the full spectrum of air operations. And the display today demonstrates the Typhoon, even with the weapons fit, is done with incredible agility and maneuverability for which it's known. Those engines, just over 20,000 pounds of thrust each, with afterburner. Aircraft controlled by inboard and outboard flapper rods at the trailing edge of the delta, the rudder and the all-moving foreplane, indicated to be all help. I think because that's been a low cloud drifting around from the north. Typhoon has a total of 13 external hard points, 5 located on the fuselage, 4 on each wing. Weapons choice are numerous, including the AIM-120s, the Meteor, Sidewinder missiles for air-to-air, Brimstone, Taurus, Storm Shadow, and Payway munitions for air-to-surface, rolling inverted, back Now Renzo may just keep still, we may come into a photo shot of the flyby, probably from behind the car. See the three main sections now join up. They will do very